Hello, residents of the Meister clan. It's not your boy sixmysta, but instead it's me, Grattify What-ifs. And I bet that most of you don't even know who I am because my dumbass decided not to post anything on my main channel for the past 3 months. But anyway, that doesn't matter. That's not the reason why I'm here mainly. The main reason why is because Six is taking a break. Not like a break from YouTube, but just a break for himself. If you want to know, just click the card that you see on the screen. And until then, he asks me and the boys Take the Editor to hold down the fort so that you guys can have content. And here we are with What If Percy Was a Half-Blood. I said half-blood. I meant full-blood. Basically, a god. And instead of taking anything from the movies, I'm going to be doing the books instead. But instead of also doing it chapter by chapter, otherwise it's going to be one long video, I'm deciding just to cut off some things here and there, just adding some changes and put some things here and there so that you all will understand. Also, part 1 is going to be about the lightning thief, part 2 will be about the sea of monsters, so that's how it's going to go until we clear up all the books that Percy has been in or taking a big active role in, just he's there, he fights monsters, all that shit, So just grab your popcorn, grab your snacks, and then let's get into the video. So, we start with Poseidon looking over Thalia's tree near Half-Blood Hill, and then remembering how Thalia had hold of hordes and waves of monsters coming at her from each side, and he decided that he cannot have his children suffer this kind of fate, to be a half-blood, and then just be discarded like nothing else. But alas, just like his brothers, he also had an affair, but instead of with a mortal woman, he decided to have one with a goddess instead. And they had a child together. But then the goddess had a prophecy. Well, not a prophecy, a vision, more or less. That this child would grow up and become more powerful than even Zeus himself. And Poseidon knew that if Zeus knew about it too, he would strike the child where he stood. And he couldn't have that either. And he didn't want his child to grow up to become some mortal person. So he even ended up creating a half-blood all along. In order to protect the child, him and the goddess, who should be unknown for now, will seal up Percy's power so that he doesn't give off anything too major. And instead grows up to become like a normal half-blood. Or at least as normal as half-bloods get, until he will soon discover his heritage. Now, Percy wakes up and then sees a ceiling fan in front of him. He's absolutely confused as he looks around to the cabin. He tries to remember what happened, but the last things that he saw was a man with multiple eyes and a blonde girl, which he was still confused on. He looked to his right and he saw Grover there just sitting. And then he was somewhat relieved as he looked down and he didn't see any satyr hooves there. So that means that he must have also imagined some other things too, such as him vaporizing his pre-algebra teacher, and also how he saw 3 old ladies cutting off something. But the one thing that he hoped he dreamed of was that his mother was apparently crushed by the Minotaur. He was still confused on how that even happened as well. For all he knew, he thought that he was dead until the Minotaur just suddenly disappeared. He didn't know why either. But alas, Grover began to tell him about what happened. And then when he came to his senses, he realized that it wasn't really a dream. And then he decided to reach out for the drink, but Grover stopped him. Whoa there. Now, I've fed you some of it, but it looks like you're doing pretty well, so let's not drink more nectar. Percy was confused as he just thought that it was normal apple juice, but with the way that Grover was holding it, he thought that it was something more. And deciding to try to trust the only friend that he had in this entire cabin, he decided not to argue against it and he got up. Grover went to go lead Percy to the pinnacle table, I hope that's how it's spelled, when Mr. D and Chiron will be playing. There, Mr. D starts to give Percy the rundown about how things run, about the gods existing, also that small death threat. But so far, so forth, he got the message. Chiron went to go reveal himself as a centaur to Percy, and then they had that little tour, I guess you could say, around the camp. Now, most things in Camp Half-Blood stay the same, such as Annabeth being mean to Percy, Percy staying at the Hermes cabin, Clarissa still being drenched in toilet water. Everything was normal until Capture the Flag, where Percy was, the lifeguard, and then we got attacked by a hellhound, and then went to go healed up by water, and then surprise, surprise, was revealed to be the son of the sea god. But of course, there was more to it, but none of them knew of it. Not even Percy himself. He still went to go understand some other things too, like he could understand ancient Greek better than even Annabeth, which even surprised him. But alas, that was one of the only skills that he had managed to, learn at this camp. That he actually learned that he was good at. That's what I meant. The only skill that he learned to be good at in the entire camp. After discovering that he was the son of the sea god, they decided to give him a quest, and with it the word spoke from the oracle, the mist just dripping out from its lifeless body, which was enough to give Percy chills. You shall go west and face the god who has turned. You shall find what was stolen and see it safely returned. You shall be betrayed by one who calls you a friend, and you shall fail to save what matters most in the end. And with that, Percy got his quest. He was still confused on everything that was going on, but he knew exactly what had to happen. He needed to save his mom. And of course, also stop the war that would eventually just destroy the entire planet, with Zeus and Poseidon just battling out of each other, but that was the least of his worries after all. After Chiron went to go give Percy why am I saying the Greek name? Riptide. Luke also came to meet them up on the valley and then gave Percy the shoes. Percy was grateful to Luke and always been grateful to him, seeing him as more of a big brother when he was in the Hermes cabin. But when he grabbed the shoes, he felt something weird about them. He couldn't explain it, nor how he could even sense it, but he just knew that something was wrong with them either way. But he still accepted the gift from Luke, and as Luke carried on, he also realized another thing about the shoes. He couldn't fly. After all, Zeus was after his head, so he couldn't really wear it, so he gave it to Grover just like in canon, and then they took off for the bus, where they were still attacked by Furies, like, damn. They blow up the bus and then still start to run away when they meet Auntie M's Garden Gnome Emporium, or as I used to call it, the fucking Medusa Cave. After nearly surviving Medusa's, wrath and then sending the box off to the Olympus, they still went to go steal the money, and then Percy, during their camp out, Percy, Annabeth, and Grover still at their camp out, Grover went to go tell Percy about how he wants to become the searcher for Pan, and Percy was feeling pretty inspired by the fact that even though that no searcher has come in 3,000 years, Grover still went to search up. Anyway, they went to go meet up with the Poodle Gladius, and then taking the money from Gladius, they went to go get on that trip to Denver, which is something that pretty much fucks them up. Percy and Annabeth still have that one talk about each other, with Percy trying to explain that he should try and that Annabeth should more or less give her family one more try, and Annabeth was just looking disappointed. I don't know, Percy, why should I? And Percy still went to go say that what's really the worst that can happen? After all, they were the only family he got, so it's more or less to try and fix them, while Percy was still thinking about his own mom, just down there in the underworld, just thinking about this crazy trip to Hades and how he's supposed to stop this war and clear his name. When they went to go at the Ark, At least I'm pretty sure that's what it's called. Excuse my spelling. So at the Ark, they went to go discover about Echidna and Chimera. Well, Percy discovered them because he was the only one alone. And instead of nearly burning to death like he nearly did and then jumping straight force into the fire, he was actually able to surprisingly wound the beast, which caused both Echidna and then the Chimera to start going after the what's it called, the people that were on board, the park ranger and all that. Percy was able to stop her, but alas, he was also mortally wounded since he had to protect both of them, and then he still jumped into the water, which heavily surprised the fact that not only could he breathe in water, but he actually felt wonderful there. When he looked at his body, he was glowing a faint light, but he couldn't really explain it. Then he went to go hear the voice of the Nereid, talking about how he shouldn't accept the gifts, which confused him more, but as he was asking more and more questions, the spirit just vanished. When he came up to shore and then meet up with his friends, they went to go into hiding, since Percy was after all a fugitive, and head to the diner where they meet the terrible god Ares. Now, instead of Ares having, the temper tantrum of, Ares, he still went to go talk about how he was quote-unquote doing all of them a favor, but Percy wasn't really pissed. In fact, he wasn't really affected by any of the godly auras for some reason, but he still knew that they admitted great power and he should not really fuck with them. However, he was still a bit pissed off since his daughter did try to shock and skewer him, but he just decided not to bring it up to the conversation. Ares went to go tell them that they had to do this one quick thing for them, get him a shield, and then he would tell them how they were gonna get it. They went to go do it, nearly died of embarrassment, and then finished. And then Ares pointed where exactly they needed to go. They needed to head to Vegas for them to head to LA, and then they also needed to head to the DOA recording studios if they're gonna have any chance of finding Hades. They went to go get there, and then Grover, Annabeth, and Percy were just slightly talking with each other. They were trying to, Grover went to go explain about how he basically failed, saving Thalia and everything, and then he was crying, but then he went to go back to sleep. Annabeth and Percy were still very hard at each other, but they were still warming up to each other despite their, heritage, Poseidon and Athena being rivals. And then they later learned to trust each other, and then they were just looking at how the animals were just, being poorly treated, until later in the morning when the bus stopped, they realized that these guys were animal smugglers. Percy, after discovering the ability that he could bloody talk to horses, and a zebra apparently counted as a horse, they went to go free the zebra, the lion, and also the antelope. Grover went to go still put the sacred wild thing on them so that they will find their way out of there, and then they were heading to Vegas. Oh yeah, did I forget to mention that Percy doesn't dream? Yeah, Percy doesn't really dream. At least not, dream, but yeah, you get what I'm saying. He doesn't really get the dreams that just pop up like it's once in a very long while since he isn't a demigod, but he was still able to see about how Kronos was talking with, fucking Luke, but, shaded in background, just hiding in plain sight, all that stuff, so that, plot. After exploring Vegas a bit, they still came face to face with the Lotus Hotel and Casino. And as you know, this thing really fucked them up majorly, so they still went inside because clothes, food, water, all that, they really needed it. As they entered inside and then the bellhop, I still don't know how to pronounce that, but basically the hotel attendant dude gave them the green card. They were surprisingly chill, and Percy was actually pretty happy that he finally got a shower in a long time. He decided to go to sleep, but after a few while, he noticed something too. Everything starting to feel slow for some reason. Even he also felt slow, but he didn't know why. When he went to go try and find Annabeth and, Grover, he was finding that they were also pretty slow too. But Percy was a little bit quicker than them, so he went to go grab her arm, but he was struggling even with the slow motion. And then Percy realized that this must be another Greek trap, that time must be slowing down and they need to get out of here before something bad happens. So he went to go grab Annabeth, even though that she was flaring and kicking. He was still able to hold on to her due to her being in slow motion. While Grover, he did the same and then dragged them out of there before anything could even happen. And they were really screaming at him on why they would just do that. And Percy went to go explain about how everything just seemed to be in slow-mo for some reason, but he didn't know why either. That happened too. So you're basically telling me that time slowed down, but everything's fine. I'm telling you, that place was bad, Percy explained. Look, maybe it was something else, like, isn't there any kind of Greek legend about Lotus or something? It was then that Annabeth actually realized that Percy did them a favor, and that was actually the house of the Lotus Eaters. If they had stayed any longer, they could have been there forever, which was a good sign. So now Percy and the gang now still have 5 days left instead of the 1 day before, like in canon. So they went to go walk around until they managed to get out of LA. Well, not out of LA, out of Vegas with the green cards, which had infinite money. Not even gonna lie, I wish I had that kind of card. But yeah, they went to go drive to LA, where they finally managed to, well, get captured by Krusty. But Percy still bloody kills him like in canon because it's Krusty, he's a dumbass. Until they went to go find their way to the DOA recording studios. When he got there, they managed to meet Sharon, there in his beautiful blonde Italian suit, blonde hair and chocolate skin. They were really confused, and then they were just looking at all the people that were waiting in line, but then noticing that they were transparent too. They went to go still convince Sharon onto letting them on their boat with buying him with drachmas. He still goes crazy about how he needed a pay raise, and Percy promised that he would tell that to Hades. After he gives Hades a piece of his mind for kidnapping his mom and taking the boat. And then Sharon, I'm pretty sure that is Karen. If Karen existed, please don't fucking kill me, please. Anyway, Karen went to go take them across the River Styx, and they went to go explain about how that thing became so polluted because of humans. And well, that was it really, until he went to go lead them aboard, and then he went to go to, well, the judgment. There were 2 signs, ease death or attendance. Each side guided by Cerberus, the demotic Rottweiler. They didn't know exactly what was going on, but yeah, they were still able to figure something out. When they came up to Cerberus was going to bite them fully, but Annabeth still came in clutch with that red ball. And they were kind of feeling kind of disappointed about how they had to abandon him, but he was going to kill them if he stayed. So they went to go hide on the fields of Asphodel. As they were walking to Hades' palace, Grover's, foot wings nearly got out of control, and then also nearly dragged them to the pits of Tartarus. But luckily, what saved them before also saved them now, as well, the boots weren't much of a fit. They went to go slam against a rock, and then, that saved his life. They also went to go pull him out. Percy, noticing that something was really, really wrong, they decided to run out before the pits nearly sucked them in, just like in canon. So they were really, really shocked, and Percy knew that something was definitely up now, knowing the fact that not only did he sense that something was wrong with the boots that Luke had given him, the Nereids also warning that don't trust the gifts, and now Grover nearly entering the pits of Tartarus. He knew that something was up, and he was going to ask Luke about it when he gets back to camp. Now, as they were heading to Hades, that was the final step. They had to retrieve the boat, otherwise it would be all over. They still had time, so they can really not, bloody screw it up. They had 2 days left, so yeah. They entered the halls, and there stood Hades, just sitting on his chair, all in his dark robes woven from souls and his golden blistered crown, asking the godlings why are they here. And then they went to go explain about how they thought he stole the boats to expand his kingdom, and on cue, Hades started to go on a huge rant about how he doesn't want the kingdom to be this big and how he's tired of everyone just being this, filled up. He doesn't know where to put them. He's complaining about how expensive they all are, and this caused Percy to still talk about the pay raise, which made even Hades complain more about Sharon and his bloody Italian suits. But it didn't really matter, as how he was more pissed about how he lost the Helm of Darkness, which confused both Percy, Grover, and Annabeth. And then also went to go confused about how he had the lightning bolt. Then when they went to go open the bag and they saw that it was the bloody master bolt, they were triple confused. But they knew exactly what to do. Hades went to go bring up his mom like in canon. And oh boy, Percy was really considering about what he should do, about whether to throw it or not. And Percy still made the right choice, and they filled the first line of prophecy. You shall fail to save what matters most in the end. Now, they went to go up due to the pearls. Did I forget to mention about how Percy went to go meet the Nereid again? And then there were pearls. Did I forget to mention that? I hope I didn't forget to mention that. So yeah, they went to go crush the pearls under their feet and then still drove them to the surface. Now, since that he had both the Master Bolt and the Helm of Darkness to worry about, and 2 days to stop everything, they decided to visit a really old friend, also known as Ares. When Ares got there, Percy was pissed. Even more pissed when he realized that not only has Ares set them up, he also went to go hide the Helm of Darkness too. When he went to go ask why the hell did he do all this, he was very confused too. Like, why would he do this? But then Percy and Ares still began to talk more and more, but eventually Ares just had enough of it and then sent a boar on him. Percy is still now understanding more of his powers during the boar like in canon, and then here Ares and Percy fight. But instead of it being Percy needing the water the most, he was actually keeping up with Ares, surprisingly. Sword for sword, blow for blow. It almost looked like that they were evenly matched. And Ares was actually impressed. Until, Percy surprisingly managed to beat him after Ares went to go knock him into the water. Once he knocked him into the water, he had no contest. Percy went to go stab him in the thigh. He screamed to high hell. He complained the sky is darkened. And then Ares still gave up the helm. The Furies still came to give Percy some trouble, but after he gave up the helm, they decided to back off and then tell him to be a good boy, otherwise he's gonna suffer in hell. Literally. They will make him suffer. And in order to save time, Annabeth had actually suggested for them to use an airplane, but Percy was really against it, but they really had little time. And given the fact that they now had the Master Bolt, she also doubted that, that he's going to shoot them out of the sky. And given that, mortals' eyes thought that Percy was some kind of dude going on some kind of crazy kidnapped adventure, thinking that Ares was a kidnapper, they still had pity on him and they were still able to drive all the way back to New York. Not drive, fly. I said drive, damn. Anyway, they went to go fly all the way back to New York. They went to the Empire State Building to where Olympus lies, and then clicked on the 600th floor. They all marveled about how big and wonderful Olympus was, and how it was filled with so many gods and goddesses, minor ones, but nothing too big, until they went to the throne room. Percy felt a kind of connection to it, but nothing too major. In a way, he must have just thought that it was something all demigods go through when seeing Olympus for the first time. When they headed to the throne room, they met both Poseidon and Zeus there. And Zeus was like, boy, give me my Master Bolt. Percy was alright about it and then gave him the Master Bolt, and it turned into an actual fucking Thunderbolt. And then he went to go say that, you know what, you're pretty good, kid. I'm sorry he didn't say that he was sorry, but he was like, just get out of my sight, and if you stay any longer, I promise I'm gonna kill you with this thing. And so he went off to clean off the lightning bolts in the Levi River. Man, my spelling is off whack. And Percy went to go talk up with his dad. Now, Percy didn't know what to expect from him, but he was a pretty chill daddish. He didn't feel human, he didn't fake smile or any of that. He was just there. And Poseidon just thought about sad thoughts about how he had to seal this boy's powers, but it was for his own safety too, as he couldn't just let these things happen. But after all, when he grows up and then he could finally even fight, even with these restrictions, he hoped that he'd be strong enough so that Zeus doesn't, bloody kill him. And so instead of talking to him like a proper half-blood, he went to go explain to things more about gods and how things worked. But not too long, just saying a few things here and there. And also telling Percy about how he was proud to be his son and that he should always remember that he is the son of the sea god after all. They went back to camp. They were celebrated, laurels all over. It was pretty fun. But Percy still had one question on his mind. He went to go clear everything on the prophecy about how he failed to save what matters most in the end. He fought the god that he had turned. He found what was stolen and saw it safely return. Now that was left was the friend betraying part. He knew that Grover and Annabeth wouldn't do anything, so he left. So he had one more question on his mind. Later on, when the camp, nearly, bloody was nearly finished, when everyone was about to go home, he went to go talk to Luke. And Luke went to go lead him into the deepest parts of the woods where they talked, with Diet Coke in hand. Luke started to have anarchy thoughts about how the gods were bad and confused, and Percy was talking about, so you cursed those boots so that we'd go to Tartarus. Luke was mildly surprised at this, but nothing much. So you finally figured it out, huh? Yep, now you're the one that stole it, right? So how are we gonna run this over? Luke went to go bring out his sword, his new one, not the old one, backbatter, half celestial bronze, half metal. And then he went to go summon another thing, the pit scorpion that could kill mortal beings in under 60 seconds. And then he went to go tell Percy about everything from the anarchist gods, how it's useless, how he hated his father. And Percy told him that he shouldn't do this. That what about Annabeth? What about Dahlia? And then retaliated about how he was doing it for both of them. And then he just vanished. The scorpion went to go attack Percy, but Percy was still able to kill it, but it's still bitten. Now, another thing, in case y'all didn't know, due to Percy now being a half-blood instead of full-blood, he still had, some of a healing factor. Like, how do I explain this real quick? Since most of these things I've been talking about have just been skimming and skipping and all that. Basically, he's kind of going through the same things that Apollo did in the Trials of Apollo. He's a god, but not also a god at the same time. So he's basically Apollo just gaining his powers back. That's basically where Percy stands. He's basically like on that level that he was. So he has faster healing, faster reflexes, faster skill, all that. So when Percy went to go dip into the water, it actually healed him instead of it not actually working, just like in canon. And then he went to go drag himself to the entire camp and then explain to everyone about how he was the traitor. He didn't know exactly how to feel about this, but he still went home. And, in case most of you didn't know, Hades still returned Percy's mom, Sally, and Sally was... I just realized I did not explain Sally's situation. So quick turn up, Sally was actually mesmerized by the goddess to take in Percy since she saw her as a good mortal mother to, raise him, and went to go implant all the fake memories of her being with Poseidon and how this is her child. So yeah, I forgot to mention that before. I hope that most of y'all that are still here went to go hear that. My bad, truly my bad. But yeah, Percy's mom is okay. Gabe's a statue. Smelly Gabe's a statue. In case it doesn't matter if y'all know the movies or not, Smelly Gabe is a statue. And that's how it ends, with Percy still going back home. I really hope that you guys actually enjoyed this part 1. Mainly, I'm gonna try out 2 styles since the book. This first one was mainly about how I just skimmed everything, talking about few changes, because personally there wasn't much changes I could make with the goddess who is Percy's mother, and the lightning thief, since this is more or less how Percy is discovering more about his abilities, and also the fact about how his mother's powers would completely make him overpowered off the gate if I just gave him like both restrictions and also fuck him up for the story. The second part, I'm gonna try and make it more story based, although it might be a little bit longer. So I hope y'all enjoy this part, and I'll see y'all next time. Or probably not, who knows, 6 might get better. See ya. See ya. See ya.
1, 2, 3, let's go!
Subscribe for more.
Yada yada does it.